We arrived in Hamburg. The year was 1939. And we just about got settled, and I was going out to the street to look around and see what kind of a neighborhood I'm in. And I met this little kid. He must have been a year younger than I was, and he told me he is in charge of the entire street. And if I wanted to do anything, I had to always ask him first if I could do it, whatever it was. And of course I believed him for a very short while until I saw my father, and I told him the story, and he says, he has nothing to do with the street, that's everybody's street. But the house was a beautiful house, it still is today. It is a villa where there were two apartments, one upstairs, one downstairs. We had the upstairs apartment, and some very nice people were on the lower floor. And the next thing that I remember was that I had to go start kindergarten, school. And when you start kindergarten over there for the very first time, you get like a big bag of candy, which is about, I think it's probably a pound or 2 pounds of candy. It was very, they still do it today. It has not changed. And we had to walk about a half an hour to school, of course, also a half an hour to come back from school. And we, had to do our homework just like any other normal kid. And we had always time to play and kick a few soccer balls. And it was really nice. In the summertime, I remember that. In the summertime, we didn't wear shoes. We were totally barefoot the entire summer. That was just a normal thing to do. If we didn't have any money to buy a lot of shoes. And when I was in the meantime, Germany started war with the Allies, and also with Russia. And I remember that every now and then we saw some bombers flying over us, and those bombers, they used to go someplace else, like Berlin. They used to follow the railroad tracks, so they were in back of our house where we lived, and they used that as guidance. And every time that they came by, we knew Berlin would get it. And but then Adolf Hitler somehow demanded that all the youth and young people and children were put in a safety spot so that they would not get killed, because he needed them for his whatever idea he had of raising children. And we were sent to Bavaria. Now Bavaria is a very mountainous country. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful. And we were there, not us, but a lot of people were there until the end of the war. But I remember that going to Bavaria, the first thing we did, go into the train, into the cars, and trying to find places to sleep. And some of us, we slept up in the net, where you have to climb up because the net was over us on some sort of a rack. And when we got to Bavaria, we met our other foster people, and I got sent to a lady by the name of Margaret White. And she had a little boy. He was like maybe 3 years old. In the meantime, I was 6. And he asked me in his Bavarian dialect if I knew that the butcher in town cut his throat and died. And the way it sounds is, the way he did say it was, "Hast du schockiert, dass der Schwanner sich der Gurgel angeschnitten hat?" Which is almost sounds impossible to understand, but they talk today like that. That's the Bavarians. And we stayed there for about 6 months. And after 6 months, my foster mother came, and she said, "The war is getting worse, and I want this boy to come home with me, because when we die, we all die together." At that time, I didn't think much of that, because when you're a kid like that at that age, you don't even understand what they're talking about. But thinking about it now, why would you want to kill a child in case you get killed? You know, it doesn't make any sense. But anyhow, we came back to Hamburg, and of course in the meantime, some of these bombing airplanes didn't go all the way to Bavaria, all the way to Berlin. They came and started to bombard Hamburg. And in 1943, that was the bad night when, actually 3 nights, the bombers came and they put down a carpet. That's what they called it, a carpet of bombs, but they took 1/3 of the city and they just laid down bombs like you won't believe. Then they came back the second night. They did the same. They went down the center and bombed everything. And then again, the final night. And we could see, since we were not directly in Hamburg, in the city, we were on the outskirts, and so we could watch and see exactly what went on, and the entire sky was lit up with bombs. With red. You could see the flashes of the bombs. And my foster mother, Hedwig, she used to go and listen to BBC London. And BBC London was broadcasting in German, in the German language, on when the bomb raids were going to happen, which area they would go and bomb, how long it would take, and they would tell us those stories every time that we had a night when they came with their bombs, and it made us feel kind of safe, because we knew they were not coming for us, they were going someplace else. And my mother, she listened to BBC London by taking radio, and she had a blanket over her head, and she was holding the radio so that nobody else could hear it, because if any official would hear that or figure out that she was going to do things like that, they probably would have arrested her and put her in jail. But when we had more air raids, we used to go the next morning and go out in the streets and look for splinters from anti-aircraft splinters from the explosion of the bombs and also from ammunition that we the Germans tried to shoot them down, which they did occasionally. Okay, how about we